before a pilot takes off, they do a pre-flight check, just to make sure everything's going all right. So when they get that plane up in the air, and they're at 30, 40, 50,000, 60,000 feet, make sure everything's okay. So they check everything over, make sure all the instruments are okay, the panels are okay, just check things on, turn things on and off, just to make sure everything is fine. Because when you are 30, 40, 50, 60,000 feet in the air, the last thing you want is to have problems. And so you should do a pre-flight check before you give your speech. Just to make sure everything's okay. Just to check a few things down the line and make sure everything's okay before you get out there. Because the last thing you want to have happen is you're in the middle of your speech and all of a sudden something goes wrong and you're not ready for it. I wasn't always aware of the pre-flight check. In fact, many times before doing speeches, I just go up there and just wing it. Just do the speech. No problem. Until one day I had just done a particularly, for me, challenging speech, and I got through it okay, I thought. And I was finished up, feeling good, accepting congratulations from the crowd, and a guy came over to me, a brown-haired guy, about medium tall. He said, "Tim, my name is Bob. I'm a professional speaker." And from that point on, I thought of it as Mr. Pro. And Mr. Pro said, "You could have had a good speech up there." And I said, "Could have?" Mr. Pro said, "Yeah, you had some great stuff. You had some good content. You had clearly thought about it. You knew what the heck you were talking about. But the people in the back, they were having a heck of a hard time hearing you. They could barely make out any words." I was close to the front, so I didn't have that problem. I just heard it over, and the audience was talking about things. And when you were walking back and forth on stage, there were a couple boards that really creaked. And I missed some of the stuff you were talking about there. And then finally, when you actually got on the stage, your hair was sticking straight up. So it could have been good. But tell me, Tim, why didn't you check these things out beforehand? Why didn't you do your pre-flight check? And then Bob started to tell me about the pre-flight check. All the things you need to do before you actually go out there and go up on stage. Things I never thought about before. And so today I'm going to share with you the wisdom that Mr. Pro gave to me about being a better speaker by doing a pre-flight check. Mr. Pro talked about all the things you need to do right when you get there. Right when you get there, you got the place, you just arrived. These are the sort of things you need to think about. And then the things you need to do as the time for speaking gets closer. And the things you definitely need to do right before you go out on stage. So today, you'll pick up tools you need to do a good pre-flight check. You will learn the importance of the pre-flight check process and how to apply it so there are no surprises and no problems in whatever speech you give. You'll find out the power of the pre-flight check and how useful it is for yourself as a speaker in making sure that you connect the way you want to connect, that you get together with your audience. It's easy to go up on stage and just wing it. And I used to do that. Having discovered the tools, the pre-flight check, I now know that there's a better way. We're going to talk about that better way, how that better way works. So today, we're going to give you three important tools that'll be your checklist for making your own pre-flight check. First tool that you're going to get doing a pre-flight check is a very important tool. And it's a tool that a lot of speakers will tend to leave out. You see, when speakers get to wherever they're speaking, they tend to get there, relax, sit in a hotel a bit, maybe go out and have some drinks, chat with a couple of friends, talk to people on the phone, how excited they are about being here speaking, socialize, that type of thing. They don't do the one thing they need to do. They don't do the most important check of all, that first check, the thing you should do right when you get there. Right when you get there. Or about an hour before. At the very least, an hour before. If you can't do it right when you get there, an hour before you're actually about to go on, you need to do this check. And so many speakers don't do it, and because they don't do it, their speeches don't connect, they don't work. And speech is fine. Hey, content's good, and they got good delivery, but they didn't do this important check, so they're out. And that check is, you need to do an audience check. Before you even get on stage, before you even check out the stage, before you even think about what's going on, before you even do anything like that, you need to do the audience check. Before you get up there and give your speech on stage, check out the audience. One simple thing to do is just sit in all four corners of the room. Sit in the far corner, in the front. Sit in the far corner on the other side in the front. Sit in the far corner in the back. Sit in the far corner on the other side in the back, and make sure the audience can see you. Because the audience is sitting way over here or way over here, and they can't see you, they're not going to pay attention to you. Because they can't see you. Make sure that they can see that place up on stage. And if they can't, then change the chairs. You want to be able to change the setting. The thing about it is, in many of these events, they got way too many chairs. Way too many chairs. So, when people get there and they arrive, you may know what happened. If you don't know what happened, if you haven't given a big event with, say, 100 plus people, here's what happens. And I know this because I gave an event and it amazed me when it happened. You got 100 plus people and there's chairs all over the room. You got chairs for 250 and 100 arrive. And people are scattered all over the place. And pretty soon you have an audience of 100 people scattered in 250 chairs about equal distant from each other. So if you're trying to connect the audience, it's like this. It's like connect the dots. You're just zipping around. Drive yourself crazy. So do yourself a favor. Get rid of the chairs. Ask the meeting planner, how many people are expected to show up, and put out even fewer chairs than the number they say. And then if more people show up, hey, you can get the chairs out, no problem. Until then, those chairs stay away. What that means is your audience will sit together. They'll be together. They'll feel together. Take out those excess chairs. Really important thing to do. Make sure you do that audience check. Make sure the excess chairs are out of the way. Make sure the audience can see you. From all those four corners, those four people can see you. And if you're giving a dinner meeting, make sure, talk to the waitstaff, make sure nobody's serving while you're speaking. Because if they're serving while you're speaking, it's clank, 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 clank this, and you're trying to present, it's a disaster. So check those things out. You want to be a better speaker? You got to do your pre-flight check, and an important, very important part of the pre-flight check is the audience check. So make sure that you have fewer chairs than there are people there. Make sure there's nobody serving stuff while you're going to be speaking up there. And make sure everybody can see you in all parts of the room. After you've done the audience check, it gets a little closer to time, you're on to the next step of that pre-flight check. The second tool in your pre-flight check is something you do as it gets a little closer to the time that you're going to go on stage. It's pretty close to time to go on stage. First tool, the audience check, you use way before you go out on stage. An hour or so, something like that. As you're getting closer, you got 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes before you go on stage. That's when you get out the second tool. Now, a lot of speakers, even ones who use the first tool, the audience check, forget about the second tool. And forgetting about the second tool is a problem because then there are things that can go really seriously wrong. Even if you get the audience check out of the way, you do that, you nail it, you get it down perfectly. Don't have the second tool. There could be, maybe even there might be, problems. That all-important second tool to use about 20 minutes, 20 to 15 minutes before you get out on stage is the stage check. When you're doing your pre-flight check, check the audience. Definitely make sure to check the audience and then check the stage. I knew a little bit about checking the stage. So when I was going out to do a speech and there was a decent-sized crowd around, I went out there and I walked back on the stage. I was checking for things like squeaky boards. I knew those were important. Make sure. And check to make sure whether the stage is even or uneven. I saw a situation where somebody came up on stage and they hadn't checked it out before and they fell hard in front of the whole audience. It was bad. Fortunately, they got back up again. They weren't hurt seriously. But it was bad. It could have been serious. Because they didn't check the stage before they got out there. So I'm looking around, checking for squeaky boards, checking the stage, when a woman in the audience, and she knows my name because it's in the program, says, "Tim, my name is Sandy. I'm a professional speaker." So I started thinking of her as Ms. Pro. So Ms. Pro says, "I see you're going out on stage to check for the different lights to say where you're lighting. Just move around on stage and I'll tell you when you move out of the light." Well, this is something I never thought about before. Moving out of the light? What the heck is that? And so Sandy started helping me out, and I started moving around on the stage a little bit here, and she said, "Oh, no, you're out of the light. Step back a little bit. Then move it a little bit over here. Okay, you're out of the light. Move forward a little bit. Out of the light. Move back. I can't see you back there." And Sandy helped me create a sense of the stage. I had a little stage speaking box. And I was careful when I spoke to stay in that part of the stage. And Sandy mentioned to me she'd been speaking for years. And very nice woman, blonde, short. And really helped me out because I was able to see from Sandy, from Ms. Pro, that there were other speakers, they got up there and they did move out of the light. When they moved out of the light, you just couldn't see them anymore. It's like they vanished. So that wasn't good at all. And another thing you want to do when you're doing that stage check, in addition to checking the lights, also check the mics. I had a time when I was talking to the techie nice guy, Bob, brown-haired guy, techie, and he said, "Well, you want to check the mic?" I said, "Okay, we'll check it out." Started walking on the stage, one of those lavalier mics clipped to my lapel, walking around, and all of a sudden this horrible sound came out. I was feeding back when I walked over a certain part of the stage. I left this, it stopped when I left that part of the stage. Right when I went back to it, wouldn't stop. So I knew then that I couldn't go to that part of the stage. That would be an issue. So you check the stage. Do the stage check. Part of your pre-flight check, always be checking the stage. Check out for the lights, check out for the mics, check out for uneven floorboards or any squeaking up there. Always remember to do the all-important stage check. Finally, you're right about to go on stage. You're right there. You're standing up. You're ready to go. You can see the audience out there. you're in the wings, or you're beside the stage, about ready to make that big entrance. The introducer is introducing you. You're all ready to go. And you've already done the audience check. That's behind you. That's ready to go. You've already done even the stage check. You now understand the stage. You know how the stage will work. Now you're right there, ready to go on stage. And it's time to do that final pre-flight check. That last check that sometimes speakers do a little bit, but they do the wrong way. They focus on the wrong things. And so that pre-flight check doesn't do what it should. It's time for that last check, that most important check, the check you do right before you go on. It's time for the you check. Time to give a quick check of you. Right, ready to go on stage. Make sure your appearance is okay, that your hair is down, look all right. Take a quick look in a mirror if you have it. Now, don't get lost in it. Don't just start doing. Not the time to do that. You want to do all that sort of thing that way before you even get there. Better yet, don't do that at all. Do take a quick check. Because the one thing you don't want to have happen is if your hair's standing up or things are out of place and it distracts the audience. So instead of the audience focusing on a message, they're focusing on, what's wrong with that guy's hair? Don't want that to happen. Do that final U check. And once you get that U check going, that last pre-flight check, that's when you can start really being aware of the audience. Because when you're doing the U check is, a lot of it is about how to channel your energy out to the audience. Because even when you're doing the U check, it's not about you. It's about you. The U check is about checking out the you out there. That audience. Everything you do is for the audience. Everything you do up there is for the benefit of that audience. You want to make sure you look presentable so the audience can focus on your message, not on your looks. You want to make sure that you don't stumble so the audience is distracted. You're doing that U check, that final U check, you're right out there. Focus all your energy out in the audience. Some speakers like to listen to music before they go out, to get themselves pumped up so they can channel that energy out. Some do jumping jacks or something to get their blood flowing. Great, get that energy going. Just remember, you're doing it for you, doing it for the audience. Some speakers even do a little bit of a prayer, or just kind of focusing. The world champion speaker, Craig Valentine, does a little bit of prayer for the audience. Prayer that he can help the audience develop and grow and build in the way they need to develop and grow and build. A prayer that the audience understands what his message is. A prayer that the audience gets it, is made better, and improves through that message. It's all about you. The final U check is all about you. All about the audience, all about being aware of that audience. Whatever you think before you go out on stage, whatever your last thoughts are, it should be about how your speech is going to help the audience, hoping your speech is going to help the audience. It's not about, hope I got my lines right, or what if I forget this, or any of those things. Forget that. It's all about the audience. Hope I connect with the audience. Hope everything goes smoothly so they get the message. And ultimately, it's just all about taking that energy of you and just putting it out there. Putting your energy out. That's what the U check is about. It's the final check, the pre-flight check. And after you get there, and you get everything ready, and you got that U check going, and you step out there on stage, and it's showtime. Now, let's wrap things up. Talked about the importance of doing your pre-flight check. Important thing is to do the audience check. an hour or so before your speech, half an hour, something like that, do the audience check first. Because you want to make sure that the audience has the best experience. Sit in the different chairs. See what it looks like in all the different parts all over the audience. See if there's something blocking the audience's view. If you're serving during dinner, make sure no one's going to be serving while you're speaking, because trying to speak over the clanking is a disaster. So do the audience check. Once the audience check is done, do a stage check. Stage check is very important to do, because if you aren't certain about the stage, things can go wrong very quickly. Make sure when you walk around the stage, you know where the stage creaks. Sure you know if the stage is uneven, or tilts, or slides in a certain way, or strange things happen up there. Do a walk around. Be aware of the lighting. How's the lighting hit? Does it hit you full on? Hit you to the side? Is there a certain place where you can walk and we just absolutely cannot walk? Be aware of all these sort of issues when you're doing the stage check. And give special attention to the microphone. Whether you've got a lapel mic, or whether you've got some sort of a lavalier mic, whether your microphone comes out of the lectern, whether you've got a handheld mic, be aware of that microphone. Test it out beforehand and see where does it feedback, where doesn't it feedback. Really important to understand. And when you do test it out, make sure you don't just say check 1, 2, 3. Do part of your speech. A little loud, a little soft. And think of other things that might go wrong when you're up there with a microphone. Are there batteries on hand? Everything you can think of about that microphone, because that microphone is your lifeline out there to the crowd. If you've got a decent-sized crowd out there, you're going to need to use that microphone. That's just an absolute certainty. So you've got to make sure that everything's prepared, everything's ready, that microphone's ready to go. Do that stage check. So you're certain of the stage, understand the stage, really know it well. And then, right before you're ready to go on, do a U-check. Oh sure, of course, check yourself and make sure your hair is decent, that sort of thing. Do a quick check of that. More important, do a U-check. Everything is for you. It's all for the audience. Think about the audience out there. Think about if everything you do affects them. And try to build your energy up. So when you go out there, you've got great energy for the audience. It might be something like listening to music. It might be you do jumping jacks or something. Whatever it is that gets you going, it's going to get you motivated to give your all for the audience. Because it's all about you. It's all about that audience. As you're sitting there preparing to go on, it's too late to go over your lines. It's too late to think, oh, what about this? And what if I forget that? That doesn't matter. What matters is connecting with the audience. Some speakers even do a little prayer before they go on to make sure they connect. Hopefully they connect. They pray that they're going to connect with the audience. They pray the audience gets some benefit out of it. They pray the audience understands what they're talking about. Even if you're not religious. Anything you can do to get the attention off you and out into the audience. It's all for them. Everything is about that audience out there. If there wasn't an audience, then there wouldn't be any need to give that speech you're going to give. The audience needs to hear your message, so you need to be there for the audience. And that's the pre-flight check. Starts with the audience, and awareness of what's going on in the audience. The audience in the sense of sitting out there. And then comes a little closer. Stage check. Check the stage. Make sure that's going on. And then finally the U-check, where it goes back to the audience again. It's still about the audience, but it's about how you are going to get your message out to the audience. For every speech you give, always remember, do the pre-flight check.